What's going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be doing a new video called 5 Things We Learned from Insert Team Name Here game. So let's just run that intro, jump straight into it. Just before we do jump straight into it, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. I'll really appreciate it. And if you haven't, go jump on my Twitch, Swoop Luke, or on my Instagram, @SwoopLuke, and give me a follow on there. And again, I'd really appreciate it. So I'm saying we because I've taken into everyone's comments, everyone's posts, and I've just collated them into 5 things. There's a lot of things that we could learn from this game, but I've collated it into 5 main talking points. So let's get through to number 1. Number 1! We have no plan B against the Giants. Everyone has said, and I said in my review video, that this was a carbon copy of the 2019 preliminary final, which, you know, we didn't have a plan B in that also. Especially that last quarter, 15 inside 50s for 1 goal. They go up there and pretty efficient. They kick 2 goals from 4 inside 50s. We have the majority of the ball, still can't put goals on the table to win the game, and obviously ultimately it cost us the game, and it cost us a spot in the top 4 at the conclusion of round 4. This has happened the last couple of times we've played the Giants. They seem to get on top of us in the midfield, and that comes to a lot of things. One of the things is Mumford's ability to just bully Grundy in the ruck. So bringing Mumford in as opposed to keeping Sam Jacobs in for this Giants game was a masterstroke by Leon Cameron, and he knew what Mumford did in the prelim, and he did pretty much the exact same thing. In those 2 games, Grundy has amassed over 100 hitouts and just hasn't been as effective as we know he can be in the ruck. The Giants midfielders rove to Grundy's taps, and Mumford doesn't really have to do anything besides just be a presence there and just annoy the hell out of Grundy. So it was another 50 hit-out performance for only 7 clearances. So and we just kept persisting with it. And then in the last quarter, we kept persisting with bombing it into the forward line to no one marking the ball. Like no plan B, like I keep saying. It just was the exact same thing over and over again. Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what happens when we keep going with plan A, it doesn't work, and we just don't move over to another plan, and we just keep doing it, keep bombing the ball long, keep, tapping the ball to their rovers, and it's the same thing over and over again, and something definitely needs to change. Point number 2, we need a key forward, and it was very evident in that game against the Giants. So we do have key forwards. You can kind of put Myercheck in there. Dugowie could be seen as a full forward. Cox is a key forward. But what I'm talking about is the likes of Jeremy Cameron, even Finlayson at some point, Ben Brown, Charlie Dixon, Jonathan Patton, these sort of guys, even Josh Bruce in a sense of the word, are what I'm talking about. The big-bodied forwards that will just run straight lines, break packs, and take contested marks, using their big frame to their ability. And that's something that we didn't have. We should have gone harder than we did for Tom Lynch. In my opinion, he did have that, that knee issue coming from the Gold Coast. Ultimately chose Richmond. Ultimately won a premiership with them. He would have slotted perfectly into the team. I just think that is something that we have lacked since Cloak, and something that we definitely need. Not more of, because we haven't got none. We just need a key forward. And I won't hear you telling me otherwise. Number 3, and this might be the most controversial talking point. Darcy Moore is more important than Jordan Dugowie. Now, since the restart of the season, and maybe going into round 1, Jordan Dugowie's numbers have been very low. Is it because he's playing most of the time in the midfield? Yes, that's obvious. I'm not going to just disregard that fact. But when he does get into the forward line, he's just not effective. I think he's only kicked 1 or 2 goals for the season. Didn't really do much with the ball or much in front of goal against the Giants. But then on the flip side, you look at Darcy Moore, who took 9 intercept possessions, the most on the ground, the most marks on the ground. He's everywhere, reads the flight of the ball, and if he can keep his hamstrings together, he's a lock for All-Australian this year. And just going back on to Goey as well, you could say, all right, he's not really kicking goals, but he's amassing disposal with his big body and he's getting a bunch of clearances. He only had 10 disposals, didn't kick a goal, and only 2 clearances. There just seems to be something up with him. I'm not going to make assumptions or anything. It just seems that maybe we're just not playing him. Maybe he's just not a midfielder. Maybe that's what it is. And he just has to stay in that forward line. And maybe that's what happens with Adam Treloar when he comes back in on Friday. But at the moment, if you had given me, $1 million, I could only sign one. Hands down, no hesitation, I would sign Darcy Moore. Point number 4, Sidebottom can't shake a tag. This happened in 2019 against the Giants again, and it happened over the weekend. Matt de Boer just absolutely blanketed him for the majority of the game. And there's, all the other 16 teams, there's your game plan to try and beat us. Limit Sidebottom's influence on our game. He had 12 possessions and only 1 clearance against the Giants, as opposed to 31 and 3 clearances the other day against the Saints. Why I think, obviously we know that he is such an important part of our midfield. It's because he can play on that wing, so we have that that run and that, he's such a good user by foot. But also when he's in and under, he's a good in and under player as well, getting under Paxson or roving to Grundy. But when de Boer is blanketing him, holding him and stuff like that, obviously he can't get to the ball, and that's evident by 12 disposals. What I would have liked to see, and this harks back on to point 1, no plan B, chuck Sidebottom forward. Whatever he got in the first half, maybe it was 7 or 8 disposals in that first half. Chuck him forward as a half forward or as a deeper forward. That means that de Boer either has to go with him and they lose that midfielder and that tagging midfielder, or Sidebottom is there with, another one of their defenders who can't keep up with him. Sidebottom's a great mark. He's a great kick at goal. So, that would have been my plan B. But, alas, insanity. Trying to do the same thing over and over again for a different result. 5. Point number 5 is that Jeremy Howe's injury is going to throw a spanner into our works. It's such an unfortunate injury to one of our most important players. Yes, he's not really a one-on-one defender, but the way he intercepts the ball, obviously he's marking, not because he's taking screamers every game. It's just that his ability to get his hands on the ball at its highest point is second to none. And that really helps out our defenders, smart with the ball, good user of the ball, and we can cover for him, but it's not going to be the same. There are a couple things that we can do. We could bring in Lyndon Dunn as a one-on-one defender, move Darcy Moore out into a more intercepting role than he does have at the moment, and does play that Howe role. Or if we like Darcy Moore playing the way he's playing now, we could bring in Mark Keane for his debut. Now this kid, if you didn't watch the Wangaratta game against the Tigers in the Community Series, I do recommend you go back and watch that, because he is absolute dynamite. What I've said to people who have been asking me is that he is, I feel, like the Irish Darcy Moore. Reads it really well. Good user of, the football after only picking up the game for the last couple of years. Been smashing it in the VFL last season and in practice matches now. And he's a really good intercept marker. And it's evident in that first Community Series game. So maybe if we do like Jeremy Howe playing as an intercept marker and Darcy Moore playing as an intercept marker, we bring in Keane, move Moore into Jeremy's spot, and then Keane into Moore's spot. And there you go, It will take a while to get used to Howe not being out there, and all the best to him in his recovery. We can do it, it just won't be the same. So anyway guys, that was this new sort of format. I'm looking at doing these every week. Let me know what you think of it down below. Probably ask you over Instagram for more of your points, and it'd be awesome for a bit of more interaction over there as well. But thank you so much for watching. If you've watched me this far, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.